I was talking to a lawyer this morning about how it is that I approach and prepare to defend DUI blood test cases. Quite honestly, there are a lot of us, and you are certainly not alone in this regard. If you feel like blood test cases are kind of overwhelming and that we don't understand a lot of times the science that is going on in arriving at the test results in our case, and certainly not how it is that we'll defend the case. I get overwhelmed a lot of times whenever I get open records requests back that are 200 and 300 pages, and I'm trying to just figure out, where is it that I begin to start to try to develop a defense to it. So in a series of videos, what I'm going to try to do is kind of talk about the things that I look at, and particularly the real issues that I focus in on a lot of times to try to figure out if there is a defense that fits within the evidence in the case. And there's probably no better place to start than the chain of custody. In any DUI blood test case, you should be looking at, particularly in an alcohol case, it really doesn't pertain so much to a DUI drugs case. It certainly can, but for the most part, the DUI blood test in an alcohol case, you really need to look at the chain of custody to begin, because your chain of custody documents in and of themselves, exclusive of everything else, presume that the test is done correct. There's no issues with coelution or tailing or steepling of the peaks, all these weird concepts that you might hear about involving blood tests. Those really, if you've got a chain of custody issue, irregardless of whether or not you've got any of those other problems in your DUI blood test, can really carry the day. So let's start off first with talking about our chain of custody. Setting aside draw issues that relate to the type of pad that was used to prepare your client for the blood draw, the type of needle, where the blood was drawn from, just look at the actual documents that relate to the chain of custody. So you want to start off with getting the submission into the lockbox at the jail. Then you want to figure out what happened to the blood in the time leading up to its arrival at the GBI crime lab. And what you'll see in the chain of custody documents is there will be, typically it's a handwritten document, that will be the entries prior to it being put into what's called the LIMS system that they use to track the blood within the crime lab. So there will be a tracking sheet that will usually be in just handwritten that will show what happened to the blood from the time that it was taken by the officer and then taken back to the department, where it is that it went prior to the entry into the electronic digital chain of custody that they maintain at the crime lab. How is it that it was treated? What was the time delay that was involved there? Was it in a cooled environment? Those types of issues that you want to be looking at. Then inside the crime lab, you're going to have a LIMS entry, basically a digital or electronic chain of custody that will be maintained for each passage of the blood to different stations. So you might have it, for example, going into a lockbox, a cooled lockbox initially, and then it might be put onto a storage cart where it remains for a week. It'll be really surprising to see how many times that you're going to have a blood sample that just remains on a cart, being unrefrigerated for a period of time that will be completely unexplained. There's no real reason for it. And you're going to see entries that will literally go down to the second. You're going to have, it will have the date, the hour, the minute, and literally the second that will be maintained on that LIMS entry. So let's start off with first kind of looking at that chain of custody and how it is that you'll develop it. In a post that I'm going to connect to this video, I'm going to show you how it is that I use that in a mock trial closing argument that I did recently at the Mastering Scientific Evidence seminar in New Orleans. And you'll kind of see how it is that we try to go through and track the times that were involved there and how it is that you might use that as your theory of defense in a case. As it turned out, the mock trial, the defense won that case, and it was one that the jury simply was hung up on the chain of custody and the problems that were related there. So do you have any questions about this? Have any questions about the documents that you need in order to request the chain of custody? Feel free to drop me a line. I'll also try to put those in the post that's related to this as well. My name again is Ben Sessions. My phone number is 470-225-7710. Again, 470-225-7710. Thank you so much.